And we are live and back. Man, it's been a minute. It's been a long minute since I've been with you guys. So I'm pretty excited to be here. I got my handy dandy water. It's important to stay hydrated. Wow. And people have already jumped on board. Welcome. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. Thank you for jumping on this stream, guys. Thank you for joining. There's a lot to talk about. I'm really excited to bring it to you. But I want to make sure that you guys all understand how this works. There's a comment section, guys. Leave comments and join the conversation. This is an open forum. It always is. I love having conversation with you guys. I love talking to the fans. I love talking to the not fans. I love talking to the people who hate my guts. So no matter what side of the aisle you're on, team high noon, team low evening, jump in the conversation and let's get some dialogue. So we've already got some conversations here. We got love the intro. Well, you know what, Facebook user? I love your anonymity. Okay, we have a mutual respect for each other. Brian Rangel. Is it Rangel or Rangel? Says, howdy, stranger. Howdy, Brian. Hey, I actually have some friends going to the Magic Kingdom tomorrow. So I don't know which one you're at, but how are the lines? How's everything going over there with all the COVID? I know that they said that the line for the Avatar ride was 15 minutes. That's crazy. 15 minutes. I've never ridden it, but apparently it's like an hour-long ride. Strike says, I'm late for a very important date. No time to say goodbye. Hello, I'm late. Yeah, you're late. You tried to say I was late, but I was not. I was fashionably on time. Fancy seeing you around. Fancy seeing you around these parts. Well, fancy seeing you around this part, Brian. Low Twilight. That's actually a good one. I like that one. Jay says, good to hear your voice, Dwight. Well, you know what? It's good to read your words, Jay. It's great, as always, to have you all here. Ivan says, love seeing new stuff. Can't wait for the game to come out. Neither can I. And we're going to talk about that today. Emilio says, how are you all doing? You know what? I think I'm doing great, Emilio. I have never been better. But I feel like this question was something for the entire group. So why doesn't everybody answer Emilio's question? I think this is a great way to wrap up these opening comments and get into the discussion by allowing you guys to discuss amongst yourselves. So how is everybody doing? Oh, well, hang on a second. I was going to wrap the comments, but this is interesting. I'm in Florida. It's very calm in the parts. That ride you commented on is usually 2 and 3 hour wait. Yeah. Hey, so you're in Orlando. We're in Jacksonville. You know, we should probably schedule a game. I'm talking to a Rad about an idea for the launch. That if we can, I don't want to talk about it. Like, I don't want to bring it up to you guys because I'm not sure logistically how it's going to work out. But if we can make it happen, it's going to be amazing. And I think there'd be plenty of opportunities for all of us to hang out and see each other. So, all right. So first of all, I want to say thank you so much for your patience in all of this. You know, we had an idea to launch in May. I mean, I know that was what you guys were expecting was a May launch. I mean, we launched in May, then we got canceled in May. And then I released kind of an update. It was like, look, you know, it's okay. We're going to relaunch. It's right around the corner. We can do this pretty much within a month. And then that didn't happen. I mean, here we are a few months later and still no launch. So what gives? I think I've only seen like a handful of people drop off the planet. Like 2 or 3 people checked out. But for the most part, out of thousands of followers and fans, you guys have stayed. And I really appreciate that. From the bottom of my heart, I know I speak for the entire team when we say thank you for not giving up on us. And I want to speak. But I tell you, I did want to say, at least for me, you know, thank you for sticking this out with me. So I want to tell you a little story, kind of to put things into context, because it's difficult to do these videos because as a single father of a 3-year-old, a wonderful 3-year-old, when I have my son, my time is incredibly limited, so I don't have time to do these videos as much as I'd like. And I mean, I'm not complaining. I love it when my son is in town. We spend we're inseparable. We have a lot of fun. I have responsibilities. It does kind of make it complicated to do them. So I really want to do these videos, these High Noon Lives, like daily. The challenge beyond having a son, raising a son single, is it's a very slow process. There's not a lot of daily updates. And I could do a daily update, but it may be like 1 minute long. You know, it's like, hey, here's a picture we got today, and then that's it. You know, then that's that's the update. And maybe I could do that. I guess I get a little complacent with the fact that we have the Facebook page, and that's where I put all those pictures and stuff. So for those of you watching this on YouTube, or if you're watching this from outside the Facebook group, just know if you want to follow along and get updates, there is a Facebook official group. Just look up High Noon official group, and there it is. But having said that, there is something else to this whole delay, and I kind of wanted to talk about that. Brian says maybe a weekly fireside chat. That would be kind of cool. I would love to have a weekly fireside chat, Brian. It's just getting regulars. You know, I mean, a lot of times. I mean, I'm actually impressed. There's 13 people, but I think that's mostly like a pressure cooker of people like, where's an update? And now they're flooding in. But I'm not used to this large group. But yeah, if the crowd comes in, I would love to have a fireside chat. Let's get that up. So yeah, if there's an appetite for the videos, we'll do it. So I wanted to kind of because I know that there's going to be demand for more, like, where is this demand for an answer of like, when is the release? When is it going to happen? And we've said it over and over and over again that we don't want to rush the launch and then not have the product. That is something that happens with a lot of Kickstarter campaigns. It's notorious or crowdfunding in general, where, you know, they raise all the money and then people are stuck waiting for months and months and months, sometimes years, for the product to come out. Now, High Noon is getting produced right now, and I have an update from the factory that we'll get to. So it's going to happen. Like it's happening with or without the crowdfunding campaign. The crowdfunding campaign is just going to be the decider of how big is this launch going to be. The core game is coming out. The core game is getting produced. It's whether or not we're going to produce the all of these awesome expansions at the same time. I would really like to hit the market strong with a lot of product. So, you know, with a wide brand for High Noon, and that's why I'm doing the crowdfunding campaign. But beyond that, the game's going to come out. It's going to hit the stores. We're looking at fourth quarter. So one way or another, High Noon is a reality. So having said that, a little brief history of what's going on, just for context. So back in 2018, really toward the end of 2017, I had this idea for this Western, board game. I didn't have it fleshed out. I just kind of had an idea for a Western board game, turn-based, pew pew, and I kind of tried to explain it to friends and family, and it was really hard to explain without actually having the game. So a lot of people didn't understand it and didn't get around it, and that's okay. Toward the end of middle of 2018, I hit a low point in my life, and it was like I had a choice. Was pummeling me from all angles, and it was around the time it was like the darkest point of my custody battle with my son, and I had to decide whether or not I was going to crawl into a hole and be depressed forever, just hovel in depression, or if I was going to take this energy and be constructive with it. And so I chose that path. I chose to take this energy and put it towards something. And that something became High Noon. And then I just kind of, for every single day, through after work, I'd come home and I would just bury myself in the computer and write and create. And, till 2, 3 in the morning, every single day, every single night. And, I mean, that was it. I mean, at the end of 2018, I had some semblance of a game. It needed to be polished, but I mean, High Noon, for all intents and purposes, existed. It was cardboard. little pictures that you know don't even resemble what the game is today. But the rules were there, little pieces of paper were there, little pictures were there, and I could actually play it with friends. So I also had, you know, I'd started gathering up my artists, and you know, so I started to get like official artwork. I started getting official 3D, you know, files that I didn't know what, you know, I was planning on taking these to a factory, but that was, I mean, it was basically the game was going to happen. Now at the time, I had a plan to distribute the game amongst a company that I had formed with a friend of mine. Or not friend of mine, with Rad. Rad and I had this company that we developed product and developed brands for Amazon sellers, and so our plan was to develop High Noon for these people. Well, one of our former partners, former associates, came in on I think it was a holiday or whatever. And it was around a good time where like the game was good enough that we could play it. Like there was like rough images and stuff. Looked much better than the first draft. It was like draft 4 or 5. And so they were like the first outsiders to play the game. I was really nervous about it. But we all sat around the table and we played the game. And after the first round, our colleague was hooked. And they basically said, well, when will it be ready? They were like not hooked. They were like hungry for it. They were demanding it. And I was humbled at all that they even liked it, you know, because the whole time I'm like biting my nails, hoping that I had created something worth playing. And they were like, when is this going to be ready? When is it going to be ready? Like, we got to get this out now. And based on the progress that I had done and how long it took to get to where I was at, I said, well, look, guys, the game, I mean, based on this, I'd say it'd be ready in, I don't know, 2 years. And they were like, 2 years? No way. Like, there's no, this cannot be ready in 2 years. We got to launch this like now. And I was like, well, it's not ready. Like we don't have the 3D models. I mean, we have the 3D models, but we don't have like miniatures. The final artwork isn't finished. There's still a lot to do with the game. I got to polish these posses. I have other expansions and things. Like I had a 10-year timeline for development for the game. And, you know, it starts with the core, and then we had the first expansion, which is a bundle of posses to kind of introduce you to the idea that, oh, there's posses. Oh, there could be expansions. And then other expansions brought in other mechanics, you know, the economy, the rideables, you know, vehicles and horses and things. I wanted to bring in like in you know, year 4 or 5, I wanted to bring in 2D stand-ups and to just kind of introduce kind of that, like a kind of a stand-up version of the game. It was just long-term. And then like in the way down the line, High Noon is like an epic battle map where you have armies and things. And so that was my plan. So 2 years for me was fine. Like, you know, like there was 2 years of the 10-year plan, and it allowed for everything to be polished. And they were like, no, got to push it out. So we were kind of sold. I was kind of sold on this idea that we could get this going, you know, in a year's time, at least, you know, like if we started now, we could get it to the point where we could launch a crowdfunding game. Instead of making this available for our clients in this other company, we would do this crowdfunding thing with some, you know, and raise the capital that way and distribute it ourselves. So the game plan changed right out the gate, and that was it. That was that. So flash forward to, you know, May, a lot of things happened. A lot of things even at that point changed. You know, the game started to, like, people started taking control of the game that really didn't understand the game to begin with. And I found if you followed along, I made that post in the group where I was basically like, look, guys, I gotta say, like, there's too much being demanded of me. I have to say no. Like, I have to stop. I have to take my health and prioritize that. And thank you for being supportive in that. But basically, at the end of the day, long story short, the reality was that none of the stuff that I'd been sold was real. All of the promises were broken. Everything that was like, you must do this, but if you do this, this will definitely happen. But it requires that you must do all of this. None of this stuff happened. And so, what we were left with was this massive, amazing following of you guys. But that was it. And so really what we had was a bunch of people hungry for a game that at the end of the day completely wasn't ready. And, you know, and so once I finally took the reins back, the control back, I went back. I was like, no, we're going back to, and we're not square one. I mean, we've made significant progress. You've seen where we've come. We're very close. As a matter of fact, we can go into production right now, at least on certain parts of the game, while we are pre-producing other parts, so that when this stuff's ready, this stuff goes into production. I mean, we can go and make this game right now. There is that, but everything else is going to take the time that it was supposed to take at the very beginning. So I understand where all of this eagerness is, this hunger for this game. Like, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? But what I'm going to tell you is this game is happening, and it's really happening on time. Like, I know it feels like it's late, and it feels like it's late because people who are no longer involved in the project were making these radical promises that I don't think they had any intention of keeping. But I myself, Rad and Jason, we all have every intention of keeping our promises. And as the captain of the ship, I will either these promises will be kept, or I'll go down with the ship. But I ain't going down. The game is going to happen. It's going to happen on time, and it's going to be the standard, the quality that I had demanded of it at the very beginning. And we're going to look at that too in a little bit. So I say all this to say thank you for the patience. Thank you for, keep holding out for this long. Stick with us just a little longer, because we're actually making really good time. I did think that, I was naive when I canceled the campaign and thought we could relaunch in a month. That was my bad. I take responsibility for that. Whoopsie, I'm sorry. But even that was rushed. We're on time. The game is getting made, and we've made some amazing progress. Just hold out a little longer, and you'll see what I'm talking about shortly. So we're going to go into the next part of this video, where we're going to talk about the campaign itself. But first, I want to just get to a couple of comments here. Strike says, I'm literally the only one watching this on YouTube right now. Well, Strike, there are 15 other people watching this video. So you're not alone. You may be alone over there holding the fort down over there, but you're not alone altogether. But thank you very much for doing that. So let's see. Strike says, I want there to be a dedicated High Noon Island. Well, dude, Strike, that's actually my vision. My vision is this long freaking isle of nothing but High Noon. I want High Noon's Isle to rival Lego's Isle. I want you to walk through and just see High Noon for days. John says, I completely understand the single dad thing. It's a long, hard road, but a great journey. No kidding. It's one of the most rewarding experiences I've had. I just had a conversation about that, but that's another time for another day. But yes, being a dad, single or otherwise, is just such an amazing thing. Strike says, we want a good game, not a dead Dwight. Nothing is more important than your health except your family. Yeah, thank you. Ivan says, we support you. Thank you very much. And I get the parent thing. Thank you. Yeah, everybody gets it. Jay says, you're like Billy the Kid at the end of Young Guns. Jumps out of a burning building in a box, opens fire on all the a-holes, and rides off with his integrity intact. Man, what a great ending, too. That was a fantastic movie. Young Guns had one of the greatest sequences of peyote ever. All right. So, yeah, you know what? Integrity is a thing. Like, it's important. Rad and I were talking about that. Like, that's really all we really want is our integrity at the end of the day. It's the only currency. The only real currency is your integrity. Okay, so we have an update from the factory. I asked the factory man, I'm sorry. Every time I move, I bump the table and the camera bumps around. So the factory, here's the updates from the factory. So first of all, the game tiles, I'm having them reproduce them. If you saw the video in the Facebook group, they look beautiful, but you may have noticed that they were missing a really thin white border. And that white border is critical because when you butt these tiles up together, those white borders create the rest of the grid. And without them, for the first couple of tiles is no problem. But as you start to expand out, you start to lose the grid and you start to lose that line of sight. So that border is really important. So last week, I was working heavily with the factory on proper measurements because the way that they cut the tiles, they use a tool to cut it, and you have to take that into consideration with the lines being created. So I had to, I ran through different designs with them, problem solving and whatnot. And so we finally got to a solution, we believe, and they're producing another run of the tiles for me to approve. And this is just kind of one of those things. It's a quality control standard. You can't rush it. And it's part of the whole process of development. So, but thank God the factory is dedicated to quality. Like they never settle. So there was like one time when they printed out some tiles, and any other factory would have been like, here's your tiles. As a matter of fact, I did 2 factories for tiles like 2 years ago, and they were like, yeah, here's your tiles. And like, you could run your fingernail on it and it scratched the tile. Another one was like super blurry and colors were bland. And this factory was like, no, we did that, but we decided, like, they showed me the tile and they were like, hey, by the way, this is what we printed, but we know it's not good enough. So we're going to go print another one until we have it good enough. They're dedicated to quality. So they're doing that. The cards are getting produced. The cards are in the production line getting cut. And we're going to get to play with those shortly here. The instructions, if you're in the Facebook group, you saw that instruction manual. You heard the rubbing. I wonder if I could do it on this micro. I don't think I can. But it sounds amazing. I'm sure it smells amazing. It looks beautiful. So the instruction manual is getting done. The miniature molds was a 30-day process to produce, just the mold. And that's finally done. So they're working on the pre-production samples now. They're going to send us those. And if we approve them, then we're going into production. That's important because we have a tray that we've designed for the box, and I'm working on an initial packaging for the tray. So the way that the tray works is it goes inside the box, and there's these 4 buckets inside the tray. And at the bottom of the bucket is an insert for your cards, for the deck of cards. You put the deck of cards in the insert, and it flattens out the bottom of the bowl. And then you put the miniatures in that, and then you put the character sheets on top. That closes the bowl, and then the board pieces and the instruction manual. You'll get it when you see it. But for the initial shipment, when these things are getting off containers and going into stores and getting shipped around and all that stuff, I want the miniatures to be super protected. So I'm making them create these blister cubes that you put the miniatures in, and then those sit in the box, in the bowl itself. So there's like a tray for the tray, and or a tray within the tray. And so those blisters we were waiting for the miniatures to get produced and approved, and then the blisters will be designed based on those miniatures. So once those are done, then we can work on the tray. So that's next for that. The chips and the tokens, those are getting produced. And then the factory has a dedicated artwork team that's developing like professional photos and 3D renders of the game and all the assets, so that we can put those pictures on the back of the box, and then that'll be the box art. So then we can make the box. So we got to wait for the box art to make the box. We got to wait for the pictures in order to do all that. And that is that's the update. So I mean, things are getting done. I mean, we're definitely looking like it should be ready in time for Christmas. I still believe that. What do we got? 4 months essentially till then. I think we can do it. It's gonna be tight. It's gonna be really close, but I think we can do it. We're gonna go into and so that's the update for the factory. We're gonna go into the Kickstarter or crowdfunding, whatever we're gonna do. Update here, but let's jump into some comments. Strike Central says, merchandising, high noon the role-playing game, high noon the breakfast cereal, high noon the flamethrower. Let's see. Nick says, man, I love new game smell. Used to buy a new Sega Genesis game and just smell a case for days. You're weird, Nick. But we know that. We love you anyway. How about foam inserts? Yeah, I don't nah. I like the idea of the blisters. And I don't know. I like plastic. Plastic's fun for me. All right, so okay. Let's see. I'm gonna make sure I got this. Good, we got it. All right. Brian says, "Wow, that's remarkably impressive, Mel Brooks." Well, thank you. Well, thank you very much. All right. Okay. So the crowdfunding campaign. So we already know the price points in the crowdfunding campaign is gonna be what, $40, $70, and $100. $40 for the core game, $70 for the core game and the Pascagoula Ridge expansion. And then $100 for the core game, Pascagoula expansion, the Abernathy gang, and I think the economy decks are going to be in that one. Because the Abernathy gang is the final shop. So yeah, that's what you're going to get. The question was stretch goals. You know, when we were going to do the initial campaign, our former colleagues told us at the very beginning, they're like, no stretch goals, no stretch goals. So we went all the way up to like 3 months, not even 3 months. I think it was like 2 months before the campaign. They're like, oh yeah, by the way, we need stretch goals. So we didn't have any. Plus they threw the farm into everything, and that was just stupid. So we needed stretch goals, but we needed to I needed to make images for them and all this stuff. And this is something. When is this kind of lines into the Kickstarter campaign? So that factory update, we got to get this game produced, right? They're going to be giving us pre-production samples, a lot of them. And this is important because one of the successes, like I know you guys want us to launch the Kickstarter campaign, but a successful Kickstarter campaign, it's no good to launch it if it's not successful. And in order for it to be successful, there's really three critical things you need. One of those we already know, which is, a really good Kickstarter page or crowdfunding page. The other two things you need is you need a good promotional video that really shows the product. And you also need reviews, preferably from influencers. And the problem is influencers, we found, they don't review prototypes. They want the actual game. They want, what is it actually going to be? What's the box going to be? What's the tray going to be? Like, they want the whole experience. Well, it's kind of hard to do that if you don't have the game produced. So, but we don't want to wait for the game to be all this produced because, that's 5,000 units we're getting produced. They're going to get here by Christmas or in time for Christmas, but we want to launch the campaign now. So what we did was we negotiated with the factory to send us beautiful pre-production samples for us to approve. These pre-production samples we're going to send to influencers, and we're going to use to create that video, that really sexy video. Now, we've got a lot of the video already done. We just need a couple of shots with the physical game. So that's one thing we're waiting on. We're not going to launch the campaign until we get those pre-production samples in hand. But we're almost there. I would say we're about a month away from having those things shipped to us, and they will ship those to us in a few days. So a little over a month is what we're looking at for those boxes. So anyway, let's see. So those two things we need to figure out. But for the page itself, we need good images, good imagery, and we were initially counting on an agency to do that, but the problem was it's just too late in the game to get them to kind of get on board, like get on the same page as us. So we decided to, for this run, do everything in-house, which meant I did it. So I'm just going to show you what the stretch goals are and what you guys can look forward to when the campaign starts. So, and pardon me, I got a little stuffy nose is what's going on. All right, so let's bring this in. All right, so here's our little high noon presentation. Okay, so the very first stretch goal, guys, I've been listening to you. I know you guys want fluff. You like the fluff. So here you go. The very first stretch goal is going to be 3D chips and 3D gold bars. We've already factory them. They can do so. The way this is what you're gonna get is you're not gonna get all of your chips and gold bars converted, okay? Because that's just gonna be a nightmare logistically for us to change your boxes versus other people's boxes and stuff. So what we're doing is, I always had this plan of creating optional purchases in the store for, like, when we're talking about, you know, High Noon the video game, High Noon the flamethrower. I wanted like accessories, these aesthetic accessories to be optional, purely optional. So you can go to the store and you can buy packs of them. So what you're going to get is you're going to get a pack. You're going to get a retail pack of chips and gold. And so what that comes with is 24 gold bars, 9 red chips, 3 green chips, and 12 blue chips. This is enough for a few posses. It's not designed to be enough to replace your entire core game, because I know that, like, on the front end, you may be thinking, well, but so I have to buy two of them? Well, yeah, but the thing is like, this is designed for people. It's designed for the lowest common denominator. Most people will probably buy like 2 or 3 expansions, and then that'll probably be good enough for them. Remember, I designed the expansions to be specific to player types. So some people will like to play all the posses, but a lot of people, probably most people, will be looking for a particular posse that speaks to them. So they're not going to need a ton of gold bars and a ton of chips. They're just going to need enough to cover their posse. So that's why I kept it at this pack, because this is going to make it affordable for them, and also around the right amount. It's not too much. It's not too few. So yeah, like if you wanted to replace all your chips, you'd probably need 2 packs of these, but then you're done. Now, what happens with our stretch goals is every time we unlock a stretch goal, I'm going to make those stretch goals available as optional buys. So you're going to get one of these for free as a stretch goal. And then if you want more, you can do an optional buy and buy more. Now you may be thinking, well, you just want more of my money. Well, yeah, I do. I do want more of your money, because more of your money is going to help us unlock more stretch goals and make this more amazing. But at the same time, remember, this campaign, we're not charging you $100 for the core game. Okay, we're not charging these astronomical prices for the games. Your pledge tiers are very affordable. Starts at $40, and that gets you the core game. So for an extra $10 or $12, whatever, getting a pack of chips, it's really nothing. Plus, especially if that's all you need because we've unlocked the first stretch goal, then you're good to go. Let me know if that made any sense. If you need a clarification, I'll help you out. The very next one is going to be, but it's going to be the expansion loot. Now, the expansion loot, if you've been playing on the Tabletopia game, you've already experienced the expansion loot. It's all those extra weapons and holsters and, you know, rations and stuff. That's going to be what it is. It's an expansion deck. It's 3 decks of cards. That's going to be your expansion loot. The cool thing about High Noon is, like, you can even buy more of that. So, like, if you want to increase your chances of drawing all those cool cards, just buy more expansion loot, and you're good to go. After that, we go into posses. The first posse is the Eastmans. The Eastmans. This is Robert Eastman and his family. Their play style is they run around and blow stuff up. And so the cool thing about them is they come with a tile that is their wagon with a whole bunch of TNT on it. And that tile is actually a resource wagon for them. So they run up to that wagon and they can draw an extra deck of cards. That's their detonators and their dynamite and all that stuff. And they can basically store as much of that as they want. It doesn't count towards their inventory. It doesn't count towards their hand. So they just put it on, but it goes on whichever character's drawing from that deck. And so once they're all outfitted with their explosives, then they can run around the board and, like, drop dynamite everywhere, and then they can detonate it. This character is actually based on a real life person. I've been trying to get him on the show. He's a war hero, but he's been pretty tough to get a hold of lately. But he's a real guy. He's a real person This is what he looks like, kind of. And this is actually his whole family. This was our tribute to him as a thank you for his service. And I hope that he can find a way to get on the show and give his story. He's basically the only. So he's this character is immune to explosives. Like if anybody throws a stick of dynamite, he doesn't get hurt. If somebody throws a bottle bomb, he doesn't get hurt. Anything that blows up, he is immune to. Why? Because the real life guy is a Marine who is the only Marine to have survived being blown up 3 times by the enemy. Literally. Like each time he went right back out into action. And he's got all his body parts. It's crazy. So he's a really cool guy, and he fancies himself an actor. I would love to have him on the show. Dude, you know who you are. Get your ass over here and get on the show and talk to your fans. So I wanted this to be our first posse because I wanted to kind of pay tribute to him and to the brave men and women in our armed forces. So he's our first guy. He's the first posse. Now, I know that a lot of you guys have been really demanding Father Franklin. Like, that's really what you guys want. So the very next posse is Father Franklin. Father Franklin will be the next stretch goal. And you guys, for those of you guys who don't know Father Franklin, he's a 1-character posse, but he's got 2 versions of himself. One of them where he's carrying this big coffin around. And then the other one where he deploys that coffin, opens it up, it's a machine gun, surprise, and he just blasts everybody away. So he's a fun little character. After that, we're going to go to the Bandero Blondes. The Bandero Blondes are that's like one of my favorite posses. This is one of those where our former colleagues were like, you got to throw them in the tiers because we have to have representation. I'm like, this is the dumbest thing ever. Like the Bandero Blondes are awesome. But they're villains. Like they're technically bad guys. So I mean, but they're gonna get a gun-toting women, a dual-wielding girl, and a sniper. So you've got 3 types of ballistics to play with, 4 miniatures in all. This is also the first posse to have elevation introduced into the game. And it's where the sniper gets up on top of a balcony and can just pick people off with added damage and defense bonuses and stuff. They're a really fun posse to play. I know Nick, if you're still in the chat, Nick played them. He did pretty well. After that, we're gonna actually kind of explore a little more about High Noon and what makes it unique. And that is the tiles, the game tiles themselves. So if you guys haven't seen it, this is a map of Saratoga and the surrounding areas that make up High Noon. This is the world of High Noon. It takes place in the state of Saratoga, a fictional state and a fictional version of America. It borders Mexico via the Rio de Estela River. And as you see, there's these little points of interest. So Pascagoula Ridge is the capital of Saratoga, and it's also home of the first expansion. So the first expansion takes place in Pascagoula Ridge. The tiles that you get in that expansion you add them to the Sweetwater game, which is the core game, and that makes up Pascagoula Ridge. Up here, we have Timber Heights, and that's like the foresty area. And so that's the first tile expansion is going to be Timber Heights. And so what you're going to get in that expansion are all these really beautiful forest tiles. Now, what you see here is actually we're talking to the factory about a potentially different approach to the game and to the tiles. And what that is I'm thinking about getting rid of these trees and having tiles made out of a different material, a transparent material with the trees on them. And so that way you can butt these forest tiles up in any way and the river tiles up in any way. And then you can put these trees over them like an overlay. And then you can design your own forest any way you want. But you're basically going to get 840 square inches of tile, which is just massive. Six by 6 tiles, 2 8x6 tiles. Let me just bring that in bigger. 2 8x8 tiles, 2 10x8 tiles, and 2 12x10 tiles. So this is just a massive section of map that you can get, or that you can play with, and you can add these. If you guys saw Fort Bailey, Fort is the tournament map, and these work seamlessly with Fort Bailey. Strike says, are the tiles going to be double-sided? No, these tiles are not going to be double-sided. We're going to introduce double-sided tiles. Actually, we're going to introduce double-sided tiles with the very next expansion, which is Grizzly Greenwood. And so Grizzly Greenwood, because we've introduced the Timber Heights, which is the forest, we're going to introduce the hunter of the forest, and that's Grizzly Greenwood. He is devastating with his wolves. And he comes with a double-sided camp tile. So it can work with the dirt landscape, or it can work with the grass landscape. This is the first posse to also introduce animals. And these animals are brutal. So Greenwood is one of my favorite posses, just because of the way that he can lay traps. So he makes people afraid to move, but he also forces them to move because his wolves will just chase them down and go right for the jugular. So after we've introduced Greenwood, the next posse that we're going to bring is Miroslav ZORIC. This was the first posse that I ever made that that I don't even know how to explain it, but he basically has his own economy, not his own point system, but his own economy, and that is the economy of his generator. His generator powers up all of his abilities and allows him to lay these deadly turrets. Now, these turrets look small here, but they're actually about the same size as him. So you're gonna get all these minis, and you're gonna get a big laboratory and a generator and stuff. This guy is a challenge, but there's a kid who plays him, and he's always a beast with him. He's really fun. He's super fun, and he kind of introduces the science into the game. After we bring him in, we're gonna bring in my personal pride and joy, Governor McGrady. Now, Governor McGrady is a posse that he's a political posse. So what he does is he uses political favors to manipulate the rest of the table. He gets all the other players around the table to do whatever he wants. And he wins differently than everybody else. Everybody else wins by gold. He wins by votes. He's trying to win a re-election, so he wins by getting reelected. He also comes with a tile that is a platform. It's his campaign speech platform tile. So he has an elevated position that his guys can go up on. Now, he's very political, so that's his strength. His weakness is his firepower. And his health. He is not made of hit points. He's not made of firepower. He has a couple of guards, but they're not all that great. They're really there for defense. So if you get up on Governor McGrady, he's a goner. After that, we have Sitting Bear, and this introduces the next posse of Native Americans. And these guys, I played 2 rounds with them, and I won one time and I lost the other time. So they're not a guarantee. They're not buff. They're not super buff, but they are really fun to play and really powerful, really scary. Because this spear guy can run up, jump over things. He can attack you from range. He can throw his spears really far. And he does a lot of martial arts movements that pin you down and keep you from moving around. Sitting Bear himself is really just a brawling warrior. He's deadly on all, like whether with his defense or in his offense. And then you have Morocco, who's the medicine man. And he's a shaman, so he can keep the guys alive. He's the first healer in High Noon, so he can heal people, and he can also he also has these incantations that he does where he gives his whole posse a buff. He actually can give more people buffs if he wants, but he can give his posse a buff. Sitting Bear himself feeds on how many people how many Makwa warriors or how many native warriors are on the board. So even if there's another group of natives that aren't necessarily on his team, he gets power from them. So it's a very different posse. I mean, I say unique. I mean, I made him, but but he's it's definitely a very unique posse to play. So then after that, we're gonna go into the next big update for the stretch goals. But first, I want to jump into some of these comments. So let me do that. Let's scroll up. We got a lot of comments here. Let's see. We have we'll start here. So John says, I know that my group is dying to play the game. John, get him on the Tabletopia, because have I got a treat for you. Strike says, reminds me of getting a job versus work experience thing. To 5 people on YouTube. All right, we're growing. We're getting by. Let's see. We've got Strike says he was all in on the 300 price point. Well, good, and hopefully I'll get $300 of yours soon again. Sam says, come on, Greenwood Posse. So hopefully you saw that. Hopefully you like that. Sam, stick around. I got a really fun update for you. Let's see. Sam says he loves the expansion loot. The Lamat is a game changer, right? People do not don't give that gun the respect it deserves. That Lamat revolver, that Lamat gun is awesome. The percussion pistol, as we call it. Let's see. Jay says, hey, Dwight, how goes the single action revolver that you picked up? It's fun. I haven't shot it yet, but it's got wonderful action. I love running around across my arm and just listening to it spin. It sounds beautiful. Nick says the blondes were a lot of fun. I think I tied Jason for first place with them. Yeah, so you can win with them. I mean, they're just really tough to master. Jay says separate trees makes for a great replayability for sure. I think so too. And also, it gives you the ability to add them to other tiles. Like, you don't just have to keep them on the forest. You could put them in the desert if you wanted. You could put them in a cave if you wanted. Nick says, really looking forward to getting tournaments organized for this game. Me too. And Sam says, have you landed on dollar amounts for the stretch goals yet? Not yet, but we're really close. This is, again, it falls down to what the factory gives us, tells us about pricing. But now that we have a lot of these assets done, like for instance, this Sitting Bear, like I needed to get these models done so I could send them to the factory so they could give us a price quote. But we're almost there. We gave them a really comprehensive spreadsheet, and they did a really good job of filling it out. So we should have some numbers. I'm gonna sit down with Rad this weekend and see if we can't. Okay, so guys, back to this. So let's go back to the map for a second. So we see here, we're at Timber Heights. Where we're going to go from here is the next stretch goal after Sitting Bear, and then that's about as far as I got for you guys on the stretch goals. Okay. Where we go from here is down. We're going to travel down to this place, Stratford City. Now, Stratford City is like think of it like New Orleans. Like it's more established. It's not so fringe. It's got technology. It's rich. It's where the money goes. It's where the money is. I mean, and so Stratford City, I wanted it to be big and wealthy. So we just got the tiles for Stratford City. And I just wanted to show you, because Stratford City ended up being something that's even much bigger than I anticipated. So we're going to dive. I'm going to give you a sneak peek into what these tiles look like with Stratford City. So we start with Stratford City. We start at the entrance to Stratford City. And already the entrance really kind of hints to the wealth of the city. You got these the stone roads, the concrete, the paved concrete sidewalks, the nice wrought iron signage, and I really love how the artist kind of made the city's name in the shadow. so that you can see what it is, like you can see what it says. So this is the road, and so this is also something that we toyed with originally the game. The original game had kind of a hint at what direction roads went, but at the end of the day, I decided to just keep that to the boardwalks of the buildings and let those decide. But for Stratford City, roads were imperative. So here's another example of a road. You see, it's also not as dry. It's not as dry as those western towns. You got puddles and foliage everywhere. Roads can go in multiple directions. So we've got T sections. We've got cross sections with the fountains. So you're gonna you'll have things to hide behind again. But again, also it's just showing off that wealth of the city. There's also going to be a bustling marketplace where you can shop or hide behind to shoot at people. Then we go a little deeper into the city, and you might find stuff like I don't know, little rails for like streetcars. And so the rails have different directions. Some are straight, some curve. And also allow you to create roads without them. Some, go four ways. We've got some, multiple other four ways and stuff. And of course, what would a rail be without a rail car? So there's going to be a rail car in Stratford City, but what's great about this is a flattened image. But the way this is actually going to work is this rail car is going to be its own tile. So once you lay down the track, the rail car itself will be traveling across those tiles. And the way it's going to work is the person with the most figures, the person with the most posse figures in the trolley is gonna dictate the direction it's gonna go. And so this is gonna create, as you can see, like you've got windows you can shoot through, you can hide behind the doors, take cover and whatnot. But this is gonna create a really quick way to get across a really massive map. It's also technically the very first rideable in the game. So this is gonna introduce the mechanics of rideables. So when we finally introduce the rideables, it makes sense. You already know how it works. You kind of, you already get it. But it's also kind of like a battle wagon. So Stratford City is not all roads. It's also buildings. And one of the things I wanted to do with the buildings is I really wanted to show that like everything in Stratford City is bigger. Everything's bigger. Everything's better. So here we have the general store. So, the general store. Well, you haven't seen the general store, but the general store actually comes in the Pascagoula expansion. But it's a 6x6 tile. It looks like that's what it is. So this general store is 8x8. Instead of having a wood floor, it's a nice tile floor. It's got multiple entrances. There's going to be all sorts of loot crates around here, by the way. So another thing I'm thinking about doing is keeping these specific. So like the loot crates in here are all going to be ration loot crates. Then we have the gunsmith. The gunsmith is even more ornate. Like if you've seen the, if you're familiar with the wood flooring of the game, the core game, it's like, it's not fitted. It's kind of just hammered together. This wood floor is nice and polished. It's got the store has a double doors. You notice that the guns themselves. I'll just magnify this. You don't need to see me. The guns themselves are a lot of those expansion loot and really cool guns. You got the shotguns and the repeater rifles and all sorts of beautiful stuff. So, and again, this store will have loot crates that are basically largely weapon cards. Sorry, I had a brain fart. Okay. Then we go into the jail. If you remember the jail, it's a 6x8 tile in the core game. Here it's what is it, 8x8, I think, or 10x10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. It's a 12x12. This jail is 12 by 12, has several cells. This is actually gonna. So the thing about Stratford City is it's so massive. We're gonna be introducing game types, and one of the game types is going to incorporate the jail. It's gonna be really fun. Another game type is going to introduce the bank. So even the bank is massive, a massive 12 by 12. And so you got 2 tellers, plenty of areas to run around, the vault, a double vault. So the Leroy gang is going to have a field day in this massive, massive bank. But what is a city without a saloon? So even the saloon is massive, but the saloon is also going to introduce something different. So Stratford City isn't just introducing trolleys. Stratford City isn't just introducing rideables and new game types. Stratford City is also going to be the first iteration of double-sided, double level or multi-level tiles. So if you remember the governor's mansion, if you saw pictures of that in the group, the governor's mansion was this massive map with this other massive map on top of it. This is going to introduce that kind of mechanic. So here's the ground floor of the saloon, and as you can see, there's an interior access point to this to the stairs, and then there's also exterior. And so the way this works is the second floor, the exterior stairs is going to bring you an entrance to the second floor balcony, which wraps around. And so basically people up here can be shooting down at people in the saloon. So people can be hiding underneath the platform so they don't get shot. But if they're out here, it's pretty much a murder pit for anybody up here. He says, roll the dice to see if I'm getting drunk. Yeah, you are. Are there any girls there? Yeah. I totally did. I totally get more faithful hound. Okay, so that's a geek reference. So Stratford City is insanely huge. Anyway, I'm really excited about this one. Unfortunately, I have to leave the Stratford City stuff here because I have an update for it, but not now. So this there you have it. There is Stratford City. So that's that. That's the updates for the stretch goals, I believe. Let me see if there's anything else there. Yep, that's the update for the stretch goals. I have one more massive update for you guys. So stick around for that. But first, I want to jump to the comments and answer some questions because we had a couple of questions here, I think. Okay, so Strike says, do the puddles deal splash damage? Maybe they do. Sam says, Stratford's looking great. I can see there being some really interesting elevation play when you bring in the buildings. Great idea with the rail car. Thank you. Yeah, I'm really thrilled about the rail car. I'm really excited how that's going to play out. Let's see. Make a reverse side of the shops after they've been looted. That's interesting, but no, I don't think so. No. Where are the Cheetos? Where's the Mountain Dew? All right. Okay, so guys, I didn't just leave you with this. Okay, I would be remiss if not remiss. That's not the word. I'd be a terrible, terrible, terrible leader if I left you just with nothing, like just nothing but empty promises. So here's the thing. I understand that despite the fact that I said, like, we had a timeline, and we're actually on time, despite all this stuff. I understand how some people could feel like, well, yeah, but, it doesn't change the fact that I was introduced to this idea. I was promised it in May. It may happen, and it's still not here. Where's the game? I want the game. I can't give you the game right now, but I can do something. I can do something almost as good. So, but before I do that, let me answer this question from Jay. Do the elevated sections actually sit above the main board? Yes. Yeah, so there's going to be, if you saw, and I'll bring it up just for this. Let me go ahead and share it. If you see here, you see these squares here and here, and I'm going to add one. There's going to be something around here as well. But these also serve for the pillars that will hold this tile up. So there will need to be one. There will need to be one like here, maybe something there and something there. But yeah, it's gonna be a total dual level building. You'll have people running up the stairs and all around. Okay, all right. So here's what I've been working on all day for you guys to have ready. Now, not everybody's going to get to enjoy this. Some of you guys have been adamantly anti-technology. I don't know what to tell you, okay? But I encourage you to get with the times, because what I'm going to show you is totally free. It's totally free. All you need is a computer. So, as you know, the core game is on Tabletopia. And it's been on Tabletopia for quite some time. And people have been playing. But there was somebody who asked a question, which was because I created the map, the map of Sweetwater, and that's what everybody's been playing on. And some people have been saying, well, can you make the tiles movable so that we can move them around? Well, I talked to Tabletopia, and they gave me some advice on how I could do that. And so I set out to do that. I was like, you know what? I'll just go ahead and make the game with the tiles so you can move them around. So that way, every game could be different. Sweetwater will look totally different every single time. But then as I was making it, I was like, you know, if I'm going to do all this effort and basically remake the game, I mean, and I'm already there, like I'm already uploading files, why don't I upload a little more? So then I started thinking, what else would I upload? I don't know, maybe a couple of extra tiles. I'm like, okay, well, if I'm going to upload a couple of extra tiles, I mean, most of these tiles are assigned to posses. So why don't I just upload some more posses? But then I thought, how many posses? And which posses? And I thought, two. Maybe two. I'll give them two more. I'll give you two more posses. So I started to upload the two posses, and I ran into a couple of snags. And so I wasn't able to upload two more posses. Instead, I uploaded six posses. And when I say six, I mean, I think I uploaded six. Let me see. 10 total. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah. So guys, I've uploaded 10 posses into High Noon. There's a new version of High Noon. It's called High Noon Expanded, and here we are. We're looking at it. High Noon Expanded. It's going to include the core game. You've got the Rough Riders, okay? With their own tile, their chips, their cards, their character sheets. You got the Leroy gang. Okay, you can already see what's out here. You got Elsu, and you got the Lawman. But we also have the Los Hermanos. I went ahead and put Los Hermanos in there. I got the Jenkins brothers. I got Moravi. We got Miroslav. We got the Abernathy gang. I want to give everybody who's been out here, you guys have had my back and been giving us some support all this time. I wanted you know, a lot of you guys have had some very specific questions, very, very specific loves. I know my friends out down under. Here you go. This is for you guys. Sam, here you go, buddy. You wanted Grizzly Greenwood, you got him. You can play with Grizzly Greenwood. You got his his wolves, woohoo, his deck, and even got his double-sided tile. Okay, so there you go. So I threw those in there. Not all these guys have completed artwork. Okay, so I think we're working on some artwork for Miroslav, artwork for the Abernathy Gang, and for Grizzly Greenwood. But I believe everybody else is done. But those cards need to be done. So those are temporary artwork. So mind the mess. I went ahead and also added some game tiles. So you've got extra tiles that you can throw down, extra road tiles, alley tiles. Oops. So we got different road tile designs. I threw in the fountain tile. We got a chapel. We have the entrance to the city. So you got tons of tiles to do whatever you want with. You can just throw them out. Now this is going to be kind of a pain in the butt. I was playing around with it before. I'd say just don't try to make it so perfect. Okay, like don't spend too much time trying to figure it out. Like it's pretty much easy. Okay, this is just a virtual version of the game anyway. But if you want, I found that it's easier if you like line it up with the shadows. So you can see that shadow. If I drop it, there you go. That's pretty close. All right? And you can turn them. All right? So you can make them any way you want. Design them however you want. We got cheat sheets for everybody. So if you need a cheat sheet there, and also the new cheat sheet. So this shows you the new type of squares. Okay, so you got the blue, the elevated position. You've also got the hazardous terrain and the burning terrain, because Greenwood's camp has burning terrain, and then you've got the fountain that has that. I'll show you. All right, where are you? Over there. Okay. And because of this, I added a ton more, just loads of loot crates. So many loot crates. And then you've got your loot cards, you got your counter, you got loads of gold, all sorts of stuff. Okay, chips galore. Yeah. So there you go, man, guys. There it is. Play with these expansions. Get familiarize yourselves with them. You don't have to wait. You do not have to wait for the campaign to launch. You don't have to wait for the game to come out. You guys can play with these expansions. They're ready to go right now. Now, this is not published. Okay, it's not public. So if you remember how we played before the game was published, you remember how like we had a link to the game room. I'm going to put that link in the Discord channel. Okay. So in the Discord channel, I'm going to post it after this video. In the Discord channel, that's where it's going to be. If you're watching this video and you're not a member of the Discord channel, there should be a link in the YouTube or the Facebook or whatever you're watching. There should be a link for the Discord channel. Join it. Join the Discord channel. If you have a problem, if you're unable to join the Discord channel for whatever reason, you're experiencing an issue, shoot me a message and I'll help you get in. Okay. If you don't know what Discord is, it's a chat and gaming platform. It's free. It's a free platform for communication. So download it. It's free. Join the channel. And the links will be there. And also the reason why you want to be there is because whenever I'm posting, concepts, updates, all that stuff, that's all in there. It's really a community tool. Like there's even fan concepts are in there. That Strike is throwing up all these different posse ideas. He throws up so many I can't even keep track of them. But this is where you go to be a part of the community. All right, and you can join in on your phone. Okay. So there's the game. There it is. There's this is massive. And guys, if you join the Discord channel, you're not going to just have a chance to like play the game by yourself or whatever, but there's people there that will love to play this game with you, and I'll be there. I would love to play the game with you. So if you want to play the game with the creator, join the Discord channel and get involved. Okay, so that's what I'm giving you guys. This is all free. Even my dad was looking at me like I was crazy. Like he's like, "You're giving away the farm." I know, but I love the people. They've been really patient. This is the least I could do. So, I do need to ask a favor of you guys. If anybody knows any comic skate artists, I'm trying to do a comic for the game. I want to have a comic for the core game that kind of introduces all the characters. And I'd really like to give the Comicsgate artists a chance to do it because, it's all about supporting independent comic artists. So if anybody knows any Comicsgate artists out there who would like to be involved in High Noon, shoot me a message. Have them shoot me a message so that we can get going. Oh, there's another thing about this game, though. Actually, now that I think about it. Another thing I did, and it's sort of working it's not working for all the tiles. But what you'll notice is I added a placement grid for these tiles. So when you're moving your guys around, no more trying to figure out where they're going. It pretty much locks it into place. All right, you're welcome. All right, so there you go. All right, so let's jump into some comments, and then I'll let you guys go. Let's see. Sam says, with the elevated tiles for Stratford, will there be balconies going to the street outside facing windows? Would be amazing to have building to building LOS. Could turn the street into an incredible killing field. Yeah, okay, so the way that elevation works is if there's when there's an elevation in a building, you just presume that the building's windows are all kind of parallel or all going rows. So if there's a window on the bottom floor, it stands to reason that there's a window, that exact window directly above it. So basically, it's just a way of saying line of sight is not affected by the balcony. So if there's a window, it would work on the bordello if I could show you. But basically, if there's a window straight ahead, even if it's on the ground floor, just assume there's a window above and they can see straight out. I'm not sure if that answers I think that answers your question, but if you more clarification is fine. Why not upload the posses as they're unlocked in the campaign? That's a good idea, and I may do that, Strike. As a matter of fact, I'm thinking of different ways of doing giving access to you guys to play these posses as they're coming out, or as we're testing them and whatever. So that's now. Having said that, I've not tested Moravi. I've not tested the Magician. So he could be completely not balanced at all. I don't know. So play him at your own risk. Let's see. Nick says, figured you were up to something sneaky when I saw you on Tabletopia. Yes, you saw right through my ruse. Brian says, you get a posse, everybody gets a posse. Let's see. It's a posse pandemonium. I know. All right. Sam says, there's a way to script the tiles so they snap into place next to each other. My buddy implemented a prototype Catan. I can ask for details. Yeah, dude. So I tried. So I can do I know how to map, as I showed you that you can do the map on the grid, but I don't know how to have them snap together. And I looked online for tutorials, and there's no tutorial that talks about that I've seen. And the Tabletopia one, the Tabletopia's tutorial only talks about. I think I already noticed something. I need to shrink these tiles. I guess they're fine. The Tabletopia one that I looked at only talks about the grid. It doesn't talk about the snapping for some silly reason. Jay says, Dwight, if you could be any legendary Wild West character, who would it be and why? Let me get back to that. I'm thinking Vash the Stampede, but let me see. More DACA. Let's see. But wait, there's more. Yes, I know. I'm literally like giving away everything. I'm giving away everything. You are full of good ideas, but you're also the only one commenting. Stop it. All right. So that's I think that's that. I'm gonna post the link to the game room for this in the Discord channel. So Again, guys, if you are not a part of the Discord channel, now's the time to join the Discord channel and play High Noon. 6 new posses, complete customizable board tiles, make any map you want, and just go to town. I really am looking forward to seeing the epicness, screenshots galore. I want screenshots. I want videos. I want reviews. I want, love and hate. I want it all. But you got to join the Discord channel so you can get access to this exclusive access to the game. And that's that. That is that, guys. Thank you so much for jumping in the game, for jumping in this thing. Thank you for your patience, waiting for us to get this thing going. We're not going to let you down, I promise. That's that. I'm looking forward to playing this game with you. I really am looking forward to releasing the game and playing it with you guys. So stick around. I like the idea of the fireside chat. I'd like to work on that to figure out some way to do that. I'm going to talk to Rad about that maybe. But yeah, hanging out with you guys, chatting and stuff is going to be, I'd like to make that more common, more regular. Outside of that, I suck at saying goodbye. So without further ado, there is...